Welcome back to the Titanium Hanger. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about Super 7 Ultimate's Reaction Plus 3.75 inch scale Visionaries. Now, a lot of people want the Ultimates, the 7-inch scale, and I would be down for that. But today, the absolute biggest Super 7 shill in existence, me, has some stuff to talk about it. Now, I want to say what I want to see out of this line. There's only 12 figures that were made in the vintage line. So I'm going to give you the facts on what we know with what's coming. I'm going to talk about what I want to see out of this. And to be honest, I'm going to be a little bit critical. You know, as the biggest shill, I like it the most. I want it right. And that's all there is to it. So why not put it out into the ether? Maybe Brian watches my videos and says, "You're right, Mike. You're right. Maybe we should do what Mike says, and maybe we should give the fans what they want." And I feel the reason I'm a Super 7 shill, that Brian does give fans what they want. It's pricey, it's expensive, it's kind of crazy, but I still kind of like it. So anyway, let's get into talking about this. Let's look at the Visionaries for the 3.75 inch Reaction Plus line coming up. Before I get too deep into this, I'm going to start with the basics and what we know. 3.75 inch. It's going to come on a very retro-esque card back. You're going to see the differences. I'm going to do a comparison. I have the whole set carded. I think I'm missing 2 boxes for the vehicles, but I don't really care about that so much. But getting into this, I think they look pretty good. There's questions about, will it be holographic? Will it be lenticular? Questions about price, 25 or 30. And so I don't truly have the answers. I mean, that's speculation. Should be 25. And then if they show up at Target, which Back to the Future, I haven't seen them at Target. I haven't seen some of the other ones, the Monsters at Target. So some of the stuff like G.I. Joe's only the only thing that shows up at Target that I've seen. Maybe these could. I don't know. But if they don't, if there's not widespread distribution, probably a $30 price point that people are suspecting will be holographic. It says right there it's holographic. But other people are saying they've heard that it's going to be lenticular. So I don't have those answers, and I wish I did. I want to start with Darkstorm. Oddly enough, this is the first one that they've shown everything for. So the packaging itself looks good. The backpack in there, and I think we got a better shot of all that, so we'll see that in a minute. But he's got his staff. He's got a lot of good stuff. I want to, before I go any deeper, I want to go into what the I'd say like hardcore collectors have been discussing. So the back of it, you do have a file card. You do have Leoric Darkstorm, like a cross sell. Wave 1's only 2 figures, which generally, so the Joes are always 4. A lot of times the Ultimates are 4. It doesn't really make sense to go 2. Well, it's testing the market. So the first 2 are testing the market. I'm going to buy 2 of each. As soon as you could pre-order them, I'll pre-order 2 of each. And that's going to happen Tuesday, tomorrow. And just lock it. If you go to BBTS, if they're at BBTS and you can lock them in, then you won't have to worry about paying for them until they show up. So I don't know when they'll show up, but the BBTS will have the price. So a lot of this stuff is going to have more answers in 2 days. Or I guess 1 day if you're watching this now. Now, oddly enough, I'm going to start from the back because I like it from behind. And with this, or getting it and taking it, it looks way different than the vintage one. So they've taken some liberties. But I still feel like out of most of the reactions, this is closer to the vintage style. But a lot of people are upset that we don't see the if you look at the vintage one on the left, in the top area of the bottom right of the file card, fear, and it does not have the poem, the chant to create the power, the magical mystical power. And then at the bottom it shows all of them are getting made because Hasbro fully backed it for the full, wave 1, series 1, and there's no commitment past these two figures, in my belief, if they don't do well. The actual so the card back I'm using, I guess, is that Arzon that I'm using? Using a different Kravex. Okay, I'm using Kravex's back, and the decay is the poem that should be on this. So people are upset the poem doesn't exist, and I understand that. So it's not exactly like the vintage, and I'm gonna put this out there. I mean, I am a Super 7 shill, so you got to take that into account. But these are not retro figures. So if Hasbro does a retro figure, it should match it pretty close, which they don't. They don't match the cross cells, the 32 backs on Star Wars. They don't match what should match on, well, I mean, Dungeons and Dragons never was made, but they don't truly do all that. But at the same time, I mean, this is a kind of a detail that I'd like to see going forward if Brian can include it. I mean, I understand these might all just be too far along to include it, but maybe after this, include the poem. Let's do a quick side-by-side of the packaging and figure, and I will say this. So the actual figure and toy and accessories and all that stuff is a little closer to tune than what they did back with the vintage line, but the card art is different, but you still have the magical beast of sort in the background, a different pose, and looking more like the cartoon. So what's the cartoon look like? It's really hard to get a full body capture, so I mean, this is one of the better pictures I have of this, and Visionaries.net does a good job of like finding this stuff for us so that we can do some comparisons. I think Super 7 is really close to the cartoon and the feel of the toy. Now, it's gonna be what, through 7.75 inches smaller than the vintage figure to match G.I. Joe. Now, a lot of people are like, well, I wish these could match G.I. Joe. A lot of people are like, I wish this will be the full scale that vintage was. And I understand both. This is not retro. This is reaction. The Silverhawks super ultra disappointed were canceled. Understand this. This is for 3.75. Match your G.I. Joes. It is what it is. If you don't believe me, here is somewhere along the line I found a pre-order someone placed, and it says it's 3.75 inch. So just so you know, these are the facts. I'm giving you facts. I'm going to give you my feelings in the later part of the video. Now here's the shot of the figure, still digital render. I mean, by the way, I can't tell you if that green's gonna look green or aqua. I have no idea, because digital renders, they are notorious. Super 7's notorious. Come on, Brian. Your renders should match the product colors. At the end, you get the test shots and go, this doesn't match my render. Fix it. You get the Pantones. I'm sure you spent thousands of dollars on those Pantone slats that you can measure them up to. But I gotta say this. I mean, this looks pretty good. But looking at the backpack piece, so that little piece there looks like two bombs with a little piece on the right side, a backpack piece. It's gonna, I think, because nobody said anything yet, that's gonna hold the staff, and that's really a cool thing to add. That's a nice addition. Vintage did not have that. I think Kravex or one of them had a backpack. Only one had a backpack plug-in piece. The rest just didn't. So this is good. This is cool. It's different. It's interesting. It's something different. And then you probably use a standard GI Joe stand, I hope, and you got a nice display. But that's a cool addition, and we'll see it again with Leoric. Alright, so I'm trying to move this a little faster. You can see the card backs are different. You can see that the staffs are significantly different, and it matches up to the cartoon aesthetic a little bit better with the new one. And it has a backpack to hold the staff. Helmet is separate and placed out. Now again, we do not know exactly how Super 7 will package it, because one of the things is that they show render and then you get it, and the packaging never matches the render. The colors never truly match. But at the same time, though, if you look at the intent here, is to more closely match how it was done in vintage, with the staff's a little higher in the bubble, and then it's a little lower for the rest of it, but not exactly 1-to-1, but closer than what they did with most of the other reaction toy lines. Right, so here's kind of a Leoric cartoon. How does it look? I think it matches a little bit better than the finished toy. I'm not going to truly sing it that many praises, but it is closer to cartoon than the toy. And in the 80s, the toy was like at least 40% different than the cartoon, but we accepted it because I personally thought it was lack of technology, engineering. We just weren't evolved enough as society to have the toys match the cartoon yet. And I kind of thought we never would. Here we are. Now we got to get into talking about some just a little basic math expectations. They're starting with a wave of 2, which is odd, but okay. They made 12 figures back in the day. And those 12 figures, they could have banged out 3 waves of 4 and had the whole vintage line done. But there's a caveat, and maybe some more to get into. But with this, I would love to see all these made. And I actually had a slideshow to present each of the vintage figures that were made before, carded and all that kind of stuff. It'd be fun to revisit that. I've got the whole set of figures carded, but there's one thing I don't have that I'd like to see Super 7 do. I'd like to see them do all of the drivers. Now, the thing about this is that the drivers came on what they call red cards, or I don't even know. I could research more to find it out, but basically a bubble on a card, and it really was inconsequential. They didn't have a card back release, have the poem, have the file card was on the box for most of them. So it's one of those things that to get a Riken or an Ektar or Mordred, or to get Feral carded. I mean, even vintage collectors would like a little segment of their collection to have those figures. So they've got to be done. So yes, I said there's 12 figures, but these 4, getting them carded would be nice. I mean, it would be something that's never been done before. Lastly, there's 2 female figures, Fiorina and Gladria, and they have been omitted. I will admit that, first off, I did not have any Visionaries as a kid. I knew about them, I saw them, I saw the parts of the show, but I never got into it because G.I. Joe and Transformers and Bionic 6 and Mask were my thing. But I will admit, I would not have bought an RC in Transformers. I did really like Scarlet in G.I. Joe. So it's kind of up in the air. If they made these back in the day, would kids have bought them? A lot of people say no. These are customs. This is Picture Box Customs, who did like a really professional 3D print. I have them, but another one of those things where people are trying to make their own figures because it never existed. Super 7 has an opportunity to give an official, yet smaller than what would have been delivered for the original line if Hasbro did it right, or if it had legs to go past Wave 1. Obviously they would have done it. But let's get into the next one. If this line is popular, even half as wildly popular as their G.I. Joe line, Super 7 is open to doing a 3.75 inch set of Wave 2 unreleased. But you know, I actually personally believe this is something that's better for a HasLab. So HasLab is pretty much dead right now for Hasbro. But Hasbro could come out and do this. Hey, $350, you get all the figures made exactly like they planned. But Picture Box Custom Creations did this for me. Plus, I had to do all the lenticulars and stuff, pictures. That was a mess for myself, personally. 4 or 5 people helped me with it, but I gotta say, I would be down for them, and I'd keep them carded. But it would be awesome to see Series 2. So Visionaries is one of those obscure toy lines that never really gets a whole lot of attention from other companies, even the license owner like Hasbro. A lot of us thought that this SDCC one would do a lot. We would see the whole line come out one day. And in fact, they actually did more with Dungeons and Dragons than they did with Visionaries. And Hasbro hates Dungeons and Dragons, but Dungeons and Dragons got a movie. Would Visionaries make a great movie? Well, heck yeah. It would do phenomenal in the box office. Anyway, let me know what you think about this beginning of Visionaries Reaction Plus 3.75 inch O-ring. And pre-order should be up tomorrow, Tuesday. Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe. Are you in on this? Out on this? Today I'm Hanger out. But I'm in on 2 of each.